Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're tackling a fascinating and, frankly, absolutely crucial question for the entire financial technology sector. How do we actually present the complex world of cryptocurrency to audiences in the Middle East and North Africa? Over the last few years, terms like blockchain, digital wallets, stablecoins, and decentralized finance have just flooded the market. But here's the thing, having the technology simply isn't enough. We need to understand how to communicate these incredibly complex ideas clearly, responsibly, and persuasively to the Arab user. So get ready because we are going to break down exactly what makes a smart Arabic content strategy successful. So here is the core problem we're up against. The primary challenge in the crypto space isn't just that the underlying technology is super complex. The bigger, much more pervasive issue is how that technology is being communicated. All too often, the content pushed out to users falls into one of three major traps. It's either massively overhyped, terrifyingly full of jargon, or, and this is the worst one, it's lazily translated word for word from English. The result? Phrasing that sounds more like a broken robot than a trusted financial advisor. When you rely on literal translation without any cultural context, you don't just confuse the Arab user, you completely alienate them. It feels foreign, it feels unnatural, and most importantly, it feels untrustworthy. Okay, let's dive into this. Think about the stark contrast between these two approaches. A lazy, literal translation simply shouts, "Start trading now." It's pushy, right? And it completely ignores the reality of the market. But a smart content strategy, which is really a total paradigm shift, says something entirely different. It says, learn first, understand the risks, test carefully, and don't invest money you cannot afford to lose. The difference here isn't merely linguistic. It is literally the difference between treating a user like a quick transaction and treating them like a long-term partner. To achieve this, we have a clear, logical roadmap for today's explainer. First, the translation crisis in crypto. Then, the power of smart Arabic content. The three core content pillars, the vital role of the content manager, practical strategy steps, and finally, building trust before selling. Section 1, the translation crisis in crypto. And honestly, this goes far beyond literal words. A one-size-fits-all translation simply cannot speak to the incredibly diverse mindsets of the Arab crypto market. Section 2, the power of smart content. To stand out, a crypto platform needs way more than just a fast app and low fees. It desperately needs a clear voice and a moral responsibility. Section 3, the three core content pillars. To execute this education-first approach, you need a highly structured playbook. Let's move to and see how this builds our foundation. Every successful platform has to master three distinct buckets: educational content, responsible warning content, and community content. Together, they create a comprehensive ecosystem that guides a user from a place of curiosity, through a landscape of caution, and finally into a supportive community environment. Let's break these down. Right, so the first pillar is educational content. This is your absolute foundation. We're talking about clearly explaining the fundamental concepts. What exactly is a blockchain? What are stablecoins? What separates a cold wallet from a hot wallet? Because let's face it, no one wants to get burned just because they misunderstood the basics. Now, it's important to note that this specific pillar doesn't sell your product directly, but what it does do is far more valuable. It builds a long-term, sustainable relationship with the audience based entirely on immense value and knowledge. Our second pillar is responsible warning content. Crypto is inherently a high-risk environment. A smart platform doesn't hide these risks, it actively highlights them. You have to be brutally honest. Tell your audience that the market is highly volatile, that prices fluctuate wildly, and that they absolutely must guard their private keys. By putting this warning front and center, you are showing the audience that you respect their intelligence. You aren't exploiting them, you're protecting them. This kind of transparency massively strengthens the brand's image. The third pillar is community content. The MENA audience really wants to feel that there is a human voice behind the platform, someone who actually understands them, speaks their language, and uses culturally relevant examples. True community content answers the actual, pressing questions people are frantically typing into search engines. Is crypto legal here? Is trading truly safe? How can I start with just a little bit of money? By turning these specific questions into short videos, infographics, and Q&A sessions, you prove you're actively listening. Moving to Section 4, the crucial content manager role. This shifts our focus to the execution, because you need a dedicated architect for this messaging, not just a human dictionary. So what does a true Arabic content manager look like? Well, they are a strategic expert. They have to deeply understand the product features, the specific nuances of the MENA market, the richness of the Arabic language, and the extreme sensitivities of the financial sector. And this brilliantly illustrates why this role is so crucial. A true content manager knows that changing just one single word from understand risks to win now can completely destroy a brand's reputation overnight. They ensure the content always respects the user. Section 5, Content Strategy, Practical Steps. Let's look at the actionable, step-by-step process required to build this trust-centric framework from the ground up. This logical progression is exactly how you build your strategy. First, define your audience. Are you targeting total beginners, seasoned pros, or maybe cautious long-term investors? Second, set your tone. A brand has to firmly decide, are we educational, formal, youth-focused, highly cautious? Third, create a glossary, which we'll look at in just a second. And fourth, platform tailoring. You simply cannot copy-paste the exact same message everywhere. A deep analytical post requires a totally different format and tone than a quick visual warning on social media. Let's zero in on step 3, the glossary. The crypto industry is absolutely packed with specific terminology. Words like wallet, exchange, staking, token, gas fees, liquidity, volatility, on-chain, and smart contracts. These words can often be translated into Arabic in multiple different ways. Actually, fun fact, inconsistent terminology is one of the fastest ways to trigger a spam filter in a user's brain. If you don't have a strict, unified Arabic glossary, one writer might use one term and your social media manager uses another. This instantly strips away your professional credibility. Unified terminology is non-negotiable. Now, what's really interesting here is when we practically apply this strategy to everyday platform messaging. Take standard security prompts. A weak message just says, enable 2FA to protect your account. I mean, it's accurate, but it's completely forgettable. The strong, smart message says, protect your account before your first trade. Enable 2FA, don't share passwords, check official links. This message is highly practical, extremely clear, and it specifically addresses the real underlying fears a new user has about losing their money to scams. We see the exact same contrast in marketing. Weak, short-sighted marketing shouts, exploit market volatility and win. Honestly, that sounds exactly like a scammer. Responsible, smart marketing says, volatility creates opportunities but multiplies risks. Learn risk management. This disciplined, precise contrast is the exact paradigm shift financial brands have to adopt in the region. It's engaging, it's simplified, yet it remains rigorously accurate and highly responsible. Section 6, Building Trust Before Selling. Everything we've discussed so far serves one single, monumental purpose. Remember this, content is not just decoration wrapped around your product. Content is the absolute core of the user experience. Sure, a flashy, loud advertisement might get a user to quickly download your app today, but it is only clear, honest, and continuous explanation that builds the deep loyalty required to keep that user around for tomorrow. They stay because the language makes sense, the terms are accurate, and the risks are stated honestly. So the crucial point is this. In the crypto world, technology is important, but trust is more important. A lightning-fast trading engine means absolutely nothing if the user feels like they're being tricked by the interface text. Trust absolutely must begin with content that deeply respects the audience's native language, their cultural context, and their intellect. You have to explain before you sell, simplify before you ask for deposits, and warn before you promise. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative thought to really consider regarding your own platform. Take a hard look at the localized materials you're putting out into the MENA market right now. Ask yourself honestly, is your content actively building lasting trust with the Arab audience, or are you just chasing cheap, fleeting clicks? The answer to that question will likely determine the long-term survival of your platform in this incredibly dynamic region. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into smart content strategies.